Hey, Spuddies, Potato McWhiskey here, and welcome to Terra Invicta. This is a game that has lived in the back of my mind for I don't know how long. It occupies my brain. I think about it day and night. And I'm going to be honest with you, my first impression of this game was that it looked crap. I saw screenshots of this maybe a year or two ago, and I was like, this game looks like dog shit. I'm being totally honest with you. I was wrong. I was so wrong, in fact, that it pains me to think that I almost overlooked what is arguably the best 4X strategy game in the infiltrator cult-like genre, yet the shadow government genre of 4X games, it is easily the best shadow government 4X game. Let's get started. We're going to be starting a new game. Now, I put up a poll a couple of weeks ago asking people, how would you deal with an alien invasion? And everybody voted for convincing the aliens that we are equals. Now, this is the most difficult option. So I hate you all for making me pick the most difficult option, and I'm very unhappy with you. This is such a rich yet simple game, and it has so many moving parts. I'm going to be going rather slowly in this episode. I'm going to be explaining every move that I make, every decision that I take, every breath you take. I'll be teaching you how to play Terra Invicta. There is an intro video, but I opted to skip it, and this is the very first event of the game. An alien vessel has crashed down in the Lusaka region in Zambia, Malawi. Now, if you play this game, where this first alien mission crashes will be completely random, and there are some things that we will need to discover. We are going to be playing as the Academy. We are a group of people who want to coexist and work with the aliens to prove to them that we are their equals on a galactic scale. There are some things that I know about this story that I don't know I should reveal just yet. I suppose the simplest way I can put it is, people are going to realize that the aliens did not come in peace. And the best way I could probably describe this game is, it's a little bit like XCOM in theme, but it plays very, very differently. Now, one of the really cute things that I like about this game is your very first agent, which are the main characters that you use to act through the game. Your very first one always spawns in your real life home country. I think they scan like your device location or something. I don't know how they do that, but it always spawns in Ireland for me. And I've seen other people, I think I saw Perun playing and his spawned in Australia, and I'm pretty sure he's Australian. I've seen other people spawn in the USA, but mine always seems to spawn in Ireland. I wonder how they do it. I'm quite curious about it, if it's like a Steamworks type thing. Now, speaking of agents, agents are your main way of acting in the game. So, for example, if I take a look at Seamus Lenigan here, he is a scientist. He is good at science. And there are particular things that agents can do that depend on their class, upon the agencies that they control, the organizations, and just generally what sort of things you have leveled them up in. If I were to take a look at Seamus Lenigan right here, he can do a variety of missions. For example, I could send him to go investigate this alien activity, this crashed alien spaceship. I could send him over here and he'll check it out. It will cost me some of my special ops income, and there are a variety of resources up here. I'll briefly go over them really, really quickly. Cash, fairly simple. This is money. Most things cost money. Influence, this is more like political currency. So this is things like influencing governments, influencing public opinion about your organization, converting or improving relationships with other factions, converting their counselors, improving the loyalty of your own counselors. This has a lot of uses. This has political uses. If you want to influence a country, if you want to unify a country, if you want to declare war, you're going to be spending influence. Covert ops is used for fighting, for investigating aliens, for special sabotage missions, very much so. This is your general purpose cash, this is your political currency, and this is your war currency. At least on a political level. These are like political currencies. Think of it that way. We also have boost, which is how effectively you can launch things into space. Then you have mission control, which dictates how many assets you can have in space. We have research, which is fairly straightforward. This is just how much tech you generate. We'll have to talk about the tech system. And then this is the most important one right here. This is your control point cap. Where do you get resources in Terra Invicta? Well, the vast majority of your resources will come from controlling countries. Like, let's take a look at Ireland right here. If we sweep over here to the left, Ireland has a variety of resources. They have 8.1 investment points per month, 26.6 research per month. They are inside the European Union, so they're getting a little bit of boost from the European Union, and they're getting a little bit of cash from the European Union. If we were to take a councillor and to do the control nation activity inside this country, we would gain control of this country and gain control of this control point's worth of resources. If I hover over here, you'll see that would be 4 investment points, 0.34 funding per month, 13 science per month, and a little bit of boost per month, and it would cost against our cap 8.06. This is that cap right here. The more countries we control, and the bigger the countries we control, and the more of those big countries we control, the more we're going to use up our cap. So we want to carefully decide where we're going to stake out our political positions. Now, me personally, I am a big fan of creating the blue banana of European destruction. That is getting the UK, France, Germany, and the Benelux all combined together into one supernation that we then use to unify the rest of Europe. This is going to require quite a bit of work on our part, though. Many of these countries have multiple capture points. The UK, France, and Germany all have 4 cap points, and Benelux has 3. So it's going to be quite difficult for us to get control of all of these countries, especially because we're going to be bumping up against that control point cap. But I think that's my goal, is to get fully secured control over these 4 countries. However, there is a little bit of a rub. I happen to have some precognitive knowledge because I have done a little bit of a test game. I happen to know that our control points are going to get broken in the early mid-game, when it is discovered that the aliens did not come in peace. So we're going to be up against it in terms of trying to control Europe. But if we can control Europe, we will be in a fantastic position. So I think that's my goal. My goal is to control these 4 countries and to go forward. I'll have to kind of explain some of the game mechanics. Essentially, countries that are in a federation, like the European Union, or if we were to head over towards Russia, the Eurasian Union, and then new unions can be researched and created. For example, you can unify East Africa, you can unify South Africa, you can unify West Africa, you can unify the entirety of these guys. But that comes with technology and a lot of political work that comes late in the game. The European Union is probably the best unification candidate. And the reason I like the European Union is because France is a very particularly important country because it has a very nice little holding over here. I think it's called like New Guinea or something like that. I don't remember the name of this, but this is where they have a space center. And something you might not know is space centers that are closer to the equator of the world are more efficient. And this one is very, very close to the equator. So if I take control of France, France will be where I launch my space missions from. It just so happens that France also has like a relatively powerful economy. They have a decent amount of research. Germany, on the other hand, has amazing tech. Like amazing tech, 9.4 technology. So Germany will be a technological powerhouse. The UK has a really, really advanced military, as does France. But the UK will be my military powerhouse. And then finally, the Benelux, that will be where I generate my cash. This will be where I make my money. So all 4 of these countries will cover my needs. Now, here's the thing. I don't have to fully control each country. I just need to have 1 point and then the executive branch for me to be more or less in control of that country's fate. And then I can spread my influence out around to some other countries. So I think that's going to be my main goal. I don't necessarily need to be in full control of these countries, but I do want to have executive control if I can get it. How do you get executive control? Well, first, in order to get executive control, you have to capture a control point, and then there has to be no more control points available except for the last one. And then when you capture the final control point, you have executive control and you control the politics of that country. So very much so a shadow government trying to change the world. So that's a lot of talking and not a lot of playing. Let's go ahead and start to try to control. Actually, very first thing I like to do is to investigate this alien activity because it does get you a little bit of extra influence. I'm going to go ahead and talk to Bao Mi La. She is a diplomat, which is fantastic. She has really high persuasion, so she's going to be really, really useful. Her investigation is quite low. I am going to want to find a new counselor that has good investigation so that I can fight against other people. Perhaps an investigator would be a good guy to get. He's good at espionage, investigation, not so good at persuasion, but he would be really, really good for me to crack down and purge other characters and also investigate counselors to hunt down other people. Particularly this detain counselor mission is really, really good for hampering other factions. But let's take a quick look in here. I could buy the Solstice Intelligence Group. This would allow me to let Bao Mi La act as an investigator, actually, because investigate counselor, investigate alien activity, and detain counselor and surveil location are all missions that I am going to want access to. This would only cost me 54 cash, so I think I'm going to grab that and add it to her. This will also buff her investigation skill, and now she can act as an investigator, and maybe I don't need a dedicated investigator. I would like people who could increase public opinion of me, which is a mission I do not have access to. What does the Draco Fund do? This would allow me to do advised missions. I don't particularly care for advised missions, so I want somebody who can do public campaigns. Let's have a look here. So we have a professor. Yeah, he can't do anything here that I particularly care about. He also has a bunch of traits. Let me have a look and see if I can find somebody. Now, a diplomat. You don't have public campaign. You're no use. Politician. Yes, I definitely want a politician on my side. So this is Vinicio Villamencia. He's from Mexico. He is a government agent. He's also a firebrand, so he has some effects here. We'll talk about those stats later. Don't worry about that. He's aware. He is an extremist, and that will have effects on his thing. It'll increase his loyalty. He is rich, so he comes with his own little bit of cash. He is averse, so he has better security, which makes him harder to attack. I'm going to go ahead and hire Vinicio. He's going to act as my control point guy. That's going to be his main job. Can I get the recruitment? Oh, there we go. So let's talk about this politician and what my plans are with him. His main job, at least in the early game, will be to help me to get control of the Benelux. Now, there's a variety of things here influencing how likely we are to be successful here. A lot of his skills are working against him in the Netherlands. But one of the main things that is working in our favor is that public opinion in the Netherlands is actually very much so in favor of my faction. So we're going to be able to get control of them quite easily. I'll say Netherlands, but it's actually Benelux. It's Belgium, Luxembourg, and Netherlands. It's all three of those countries all mixed together, but they're kind of just merged into one country just for the sake of the game simulation. Yeah, and I'm going to spend just a couple of points of influence. 4 influence, I think, is a reasonable amount to get this up to 98% success. And then with Bao Mi La, I'm going to do the exact same thing, but I'm only going to spend 1 point of influence with her to bring that up to a very tasty 89% success. So I'm rolling 2 dice to get control of 2 of these control points. There's a variety of stats going on these country screens. Every country has a GDP. Every country has a strife rating. Netherlands is a relatively peaceful country. Every country has a democracy rating. Every country has a technology level for their military. Every country has a technology level for their industry. Every country has a level of cohesion that, very high levels of cohesion, you might think of as like an authoritarian state. Very low levels of cohesion, you might think of as a anarchist state or a state without a central governing body. And then somewhere in the middle, you might find like a relatively functional democracy, like a diverse country where the people have rights and the government has power, but there's not like, there's a balance, if you know what I mean. Then you have a GDP per capita, which is how much GDP you have per population. You have a population in every country. You have whether or not the country is at peace. You have the level of social inequality. All of these different effects are going to change certain things. Now, when we eventually do get control of the Netherlands, we are going to be able to change these sliders and invest the country's economy into various areas. We could invest into economy to make the economy even bigger and have even more investment points. We could invest into a space program. We could invest into the military. We could invest into technology. We could invest into a variety of things. But we'll talk about that in the next turn. I've confirmed my councillors. I'm going to confirm my assignments and move on to the next turn. I'm going to put the speed to maximum because you don't really take actions. And so essentially what will happen now is the game will simulate the actions that I have taken. I will press play. I'll slow it down slightly and time will start passing. And now everybody's agents, there are 8 factions by the way, and they're all taking actions. Everybody's agents are now doing things in the world, and those effects are going to start happening. We're also generating income on a daily basis, and more events will fire. So all nations will gain 1 cohesion. This is essentially, emergencies are being declared. Like the governments are using this as an opportunity to gain power, but people are also happy for that because people are afraid because aliens have been spotted. If I come out here into the solar system view, I'm sure that I should be able to show you. I don't think I can see the aliens yet, but they are coming. An alien will come soon. So the UN Security Council has met, and unfortunately the hoped-for show of international unity did not materialize. China, Russia and the USA accusing each other of hiding knowledge about the alien crash, preventing full access to the site. With Eyes of the World in the meeting, we have to take an option here. Now, we have the option to remain in the shadows, which keeps our organization under wraps. People won't discover anything about our agents. We can quietly steer public support in our favor and gain a little bit of influence, or we can deliver our manifesto to the world that we will try to take. We will try to prove to the aliens that we are equal. Now, I'm going to deliver my manifesto to the world. This does have some downsides, but I think the upsides of getting that early influence points is worth it. And now we're going to start meeting some of the other factions who have also delivered their manifesto to the world. Humanity First want to eradicate the aliens. The aliens are nothing but something to be destroyed to them, which is a very extremist position. These guys are scary. They will use nukes if you get into war with them. They will start nuking you. They will start nuking the aliens. They will destroy space stations. They will go crazy. These are like the scorched earth anti-alien faction. Very, very scary. So time is passing. And one unfortunate little thing is that the war in Ukraine is actually being simulated in this game. And so you can see here that Russia has begun the invasion of Ukraine. Now I could potentially get control of Russia and set them to peace, but that doesn't really fit with my plans. I'm hoping that another faction will try to unify those countries and bring peace. I have other plans. We have successfully investigated the alien activity, and from now on we will get a small bonus to our xenology research going forward. But more importantly, we finished our objective, which is giving us a little bit more influence and a little bit more science, which is fantastic. Now we have a new objective. We can always check our objectives up here in the top left, and here it is. So our goal is to research the Alien Signatures project when it comes up, which will be a great opportunity for me to start talking about technology. It looks like we did manage to successfully capture a control point in the Benelux. We now have one of the 3 control points in there. It was a success. We had a 90% success chance and we rolled an 85, which is actually pretty close to failure, believe it or not. The new project is available. So let's go ahead and take care of our research. I'm going to set the Alien Signatures project as our research, and let me talk about this screen a little bit. There are 2 research tracks here. The top research track, that is global research, and then in the bottom research track, that is our factional research. So my faction is researching alien signatures, but the entire world is researching these things. We are not alone. Skywatch, mission to space. These things are being researched by everyone. These things down the bottom are only being researched by me. So I'm going to be getting to work on alien signatures. This will allow me to detect alien activity a little bit easier. And functionally how this works is every time a global research is researched, it will create a new project. It will potentially create new projects for you to research in your faction research. And whoever contributes the most science to a global research gets to pick what the next global research is. There is a absolutely gargantuan tech tree. I don't even know how I would begin to explain to you how huge this tech tree is, because this isn't the whole tech tree. This is the tech tree of the top level technologies. If I click view full tech tree here, the game is going to lag out for about 20 seconds as it loads all of the other technology. Yeah, there is a lot of technology here, okay? There is a lot of technology here. Okay, I'm not going to go over all of this. It's just, there's a lot here that we just need to, I would be here forever talking. We're going to go back to the normal tech tree. We're not going to worry about it. We're just going to say, hey, look, let's just stick to this simple tech tree. Don't worry about it. We can research railguns. We can do all sorts of cool stuff, but that'll be down the line. Brilliant. We managed to also again successfully control the Netherlands. Our councillor was spotted, which means enemies can take actions against them. They tend not to be aggressive in the early game, so we want to be we can be a little bit aggressive. Don't worry about that. We have discovered someone over here in Bogota working on things. We won't worry about that just yet. And now we get to choose our management team. So we can get a influence income by 3, research income by 15, or monthly ops income by 3. I'm personally a big fan of the monthly ops income because that's the only one you don't start with any income in. So having a little bit of ops income can make up for the fact that you're going to be investigating some alien activity. So we almost have full control of the Benelux. And that's really, really important because A, it's adjacent to France and Germany, which gives us a bonus now when we try to get control in these countries. You can see here, control points in neighbors, 0.5, and control points in larger allies / federation. It's going to make our lives a little bit easier as we go to try to control these countries. So one thing I definitely want to do is to come up here to my government screen and try to recruit a new agent. And I think I was going to go for this diplomat. No, it wasn't the diplomat I wanted. Celebrities are quite good. They can do public campaign, and that's a really good mission. Let's have a look here. He's wealthy. He always has good loyalty. He does make good influence. He's streetwise. He is okay. He has really high persuasion, so he'll be really, really good at controlling and public campaigns. So I think a celebrity on our team could be quite good. I have someone who can act as an inspector. Later on, I'm going to want an agent who can do offensive missions, but I think for now, getting a celebrity on board seems quite good. What I would really like is somebody who would level up quickly. Yeah, unfortunately, there it is. Quick Learner is one of the really, really most powerful abilities because it allows you to level up a counselor 20% faster, which is pretty huge. It takes 20 XP to normally level up a counselor, so these guys would level up in 16 XP. Basically means you get a lot more levels on them, which can translate into a good passive over the course of a game. However, this guy doesn't really have the skills that I need, so instead I'm going to go ahead and grab myself this celebrity. It'll cost me 60 influence. I will get Jeremy Asubonteng, who is from Middle Guinea. He's a variety of stats. Most importantly, he will bring a good bit of influence with him to boost our influence income. And it's important to know that the amount of control points you can control is dependent upon the skills of your counselors. Persuasion, command, and administration skills all contribute to the amount of these points you can control. So leveling up our counselors actually means we can control more of the world. There are other ways to get these points up. We'll talk about those when they come up. But we have only passed 1 week of game time, and it's going to take us some years to be able to fight off the aliens. So let me go ahead and make a little bit more progress, a little bit more quickly. We definitely want to control 1 more point in the Netherlands. So I'm going to bring that up to a 90% success chance by spending 2 influence. And now our goal is to continue to build our relationship with France. I'm going to be spending a little bit of cash in this early game to build that relationship. I'm spending 20 cash per action here to boost it. I should really talk about that, actually, what you can do here. When you're going to do an action, you can spend resources to boost the success rate. So essentially, If your counselor's skill and the target's difficulty are matched, you have an exactly 50% chance of doing things. You can see I have slightly more skill than the target's ability, so I will get a 53% chance of success. You can overspend or continue to spend, or you can roll really lowly. What I'm going to do is use this to try to get points in places like Denmark, Poland, all these places. If I can have a point in Denmark, someone else can't take it from me because they only have 2. So that's a good place to go. Usually, I think if you're going for this kind of big country strat, usually good secondary candidates are small countries with only 2 control points. So like Scandinavia is just filled with small countries with only 2 control points. That's a good secondary target if you're going for the blue banana strategy, as I'm going for. All of our counselors are set to their missions. Let's go ahead and confirm our assignments. We have met the protectorate. Now, unfortunately, all of our counselors are revealed, which means they are targets for potential sabotage. However, the AI doesn't tend to sabotage early. They can, but they don't tend to, at least in my experience. Our public campaign in France was a success. We upped our support by 11%. It now stands at 28%. That is perfect. We did it again. It's up to 8%. It's going to be significantly easier now to take control of France because they have a higher opinion of us. We took over a point in Denmark, and we are using up this here. We managed to get the final control point in the Benelux, so now we fully control the Benelux. That's perfect. So what is our chance of succeeding in Denmark control, or in France control? Let's see, that's a 39% chance for you. How about you? Do you have a slightly better chance? 50% is starting to look reasonable. If I spend 4 influence, I'm making 3 influence per day, so I feel pretty safe to spend 8 influence for an 82% chance to start controlling France. I will do one more round of public campaign before I start working on Germany. Let's bring that up to a 79% chance. That is perfect, and then I'll use Seamus to start trying to control some of these smaller countries in the alliance. Like Ireland is another good candidate to control. Pretty reasonable. Oh, right, I forgot to talk about this. Yes, right. Now that I'm fully in control of the Netherlands, or the Benelux, I can fully control their economy. So let me explain a little bit how these work and what you can do with these points. So I guess they're kind of self-explanatory if I go through them one by one. We have the economy priority here. Every tick, every game tick, this number right here, this is the country's investment power. The country will take whatever amount of points are being distributed and distribute them into these categories based on the priority that you give them. So let's say I put mission control at, maximum level. I put a full 3 points in every single control point because you control each control point individually. That would mean 64% of these investment points would go towards mission control every month. And every time, you can see here, it says one number and then another number. Every time you invest enough investment points to match this number, an effect is triggered. So for example, every time I finish the spoils priority, I will be given 80 cash for every control point in this country that I earn. So one option to do if you really want to ruin a country is to just burn it to the ground by literally extracting everything possible. This will get you a ton of early game cash, but it will burn the country to the ground if you want to do this. Now, generally, in my opinion, my goal with the Netherlands is to maintain the economy, which is going to require at least a minimum level of investment into these top 4 categories. The economy will increase the GDP of your country. However, it will also increase greenhouse gases, which is something that I haven't even begun to talk about, that there's whole sorts of things all being modeled in here. Global warming is being modeled. The amount of carbon in the atmosphere is being modeled. Atmospheric methane and nitrous oxide. It's all, listen, that's all super advanced stuff. We're going to get technology to deal with climate change later. We'll talk about that when it comes. So yeah, this is what I would consider the baseline for a country that you care about. Think about how much you want to invest into these things. So the economy will increase the GDP. It'll also increase greenhouse gases. Welfare will lower social inequality and reduce greenhouse gas problems. Knowledge will increase your technology level. And I think also knowledge will increase your democracy rating. So the more democracy, the more knowledge, the more you invest into knowledge, the stronger your country's democracy will get. Unity will lower democracy, but increase cohesion, which will, think of unity, if you have a strong military and you spam points into unity, you'll basically be creating an authoritarian regime. Military will lower unrest, but it will also increase the technology level of your army. Spoils, I already talked about that. That's just a way to burn a country to the ground to get as much money as possible from it. Funding doesn't hurt the country, but it generates cash really, really slowly. So for example, for every 1 point that we put into funding here, we will generate 7 cash per year for the rest of the game. And you compare that to spoils. 1 point into spoils will generate 80 cash per point. So that's 240 points 240 divided by 7, that is like 4.5 years, maybe 5 years worth of income in like a single investment point. Spaceflight program, that should be fairly straightforward. It will start a spaceflight program. Mission control, again, I talked about that. Every time we fill up 25 points, we'll be able to control another asset in space. Build an army. This is how you build this army. Like, see this little army right here? Every nation can control armies up to its control point cap, I think. It might actually be able to go over. But when you build an army, it will be a unit that you can use on the global map to enact your will, whether that's fighting aliens or starting wars with other nations and other factions. You can use an army for that. And then you also have nuclear weapons, which is another option, which should be fairly straightforward and self-explanatory. You build nukes and you can fire them off. Very dangerous, something we are going to avoid because nuclear weapons have devastating effects on the global economy, and I really don't want there to be a nuclear exchange. So I'm going to be trying to control the probability of nuclear war. Now, there's a few other things that you can invest into. For example, if you have an army, you can build them a navy, which allows the army to embark. You can also invest into Boost, which is the resource that allows you to send stuff into space, because eventually, when we come up here, we are going to want to start, for example, moon bases, so we can do some mining on the moon, right? The moon has resources that we want to have access to, which allow us to build a space economy out here in the solar system so that we can fight the alien threat. There's a lot. Let's focus on Earth, okay? We're going to focus on Earth. This game unfolds like a giant origami bird, and I don't think you guys are ready for me to really talk about what we're going to be doing in the solar system. Let's just focus on the political situation on Earth, at least for the first few years of this game. We haven't even researched mass driver technology, so we can't even fire space medals all around the place. So hopefully that kind of gives you a little bit of an overview of how the country management works. You control the priorities of a country. Now, speaking specifically about country management, the Benelux, I want to invest reasonably into the economy, a little bit into the welfare. I don't think I necessarily need so much cohesion in here. I'll have a little bit going into there, but not very much. Mostly I want the Netherlands to focus on its economy, a little bit of welfare, a reasonable amount of knowledge, and then also I really want the Netherlands to invest into funding. I wanted to generate cash for me. I could go for a spaceflight program. It would only take 15 investment points, which is like a month and a half of the points. Yeah, that should be fine. Yeah, so we're investing into funding. We're not worried about the Netherlands military or generating spoils. We could put a few points into spoils if we wanted to get a little bit of cash. Actually, it's probably a good idea to have a little bit of spoils going. Yeah, I'll have 10% going into spoils and then 10% into unity. This looks a little bit more reasonable. We're not going to burn the Netherlands economy to the ground, but we mostly are interested in them generating cash for us. A long-term cash, not quick cash through spoils, but long-term cash. We are going to want a little bit of quick cash to fill up our coffers because we are going to be spending money fairly aggressively here. But then other than that, we're done with the Netherlands. That's it. We're happy. We can worry about them later. We'll readjust those things when we eventually unify Europe. But we have completed the Alien Signatures project. We have found extraterrestrial life on Earth. All that matters is how we find it. So this will fulfill an objective to research alien signatures, and it'll allow us to detect alien abductions on Earth. And those alien abductions will be getting started very quickly because the aliens did not come in peace. So I think our next objective... So currently we still believe that the aliens are essentially ignorant of us. I'm going to give you a little bit of a spoiler. They know we're here and their intentions are subversive. So conduct surveil missions near any alien crash sites. If abductions are detected, send a counselor on an investigate alien activity mission at that location. Perfect. They want me to research Skywatch and Deep Skywatch and global technologies, and our final objective will be to engage some alien assets, facilities, landed UFOs, orbital habitats, warships, armies, and then we want to research alien technology. So very much so early game, we're going to be focusing on gathering knowledge, figuring out who are the aliens, why are they here, what are they doing here. Let's go ahead and open up management research. I'm not going to actually do that though. I'm going to cancel this. What I really want to do is We Are Not Alone. This will allow me to research clandestine cells, which will allow me to recruit another counselor, which will allow me to control more of the world, remember? And I definitely want to be top science contributor here, so that's what I'm going to work on. Let's go ahead and unpause the game and go to maximum speed and let the game pass us by. I can't believe I've only done like 2 weeks. 2 weeks of gameplay in 40 minutes. So popular support in France continues to grow. That's fantastic. It's now up to 45%, ideal. We've taken control of the first control point in Ireland. We've taken control of the first control point in France. So we are starting to solidify our control in France. Now, speaking of how we're going to manage France's economy, we also don't want to burn France to the ground, but France's main objective for me is something a little bit like this. Mostly investing into Boost, with a very, very slight investment into mission control, and then a standard amount of investment into the economy, into welfare, and into knowledge, just so this country does continue to grow. Now, unfortunately, right now, we only control one control point, so we're only controlling 3.4 investment points per month. But we are starting now to get a trickle of boost income because boost and funding is one of the resources that is shared throughout a federation like the European Union. So how are we for controlling France? We're up to 68% baseline success. I would love to get all 3 French control points right now. So I'm willing to spend a lot of influence to get that. You're only 81% success. That's like a 1 in 5 chance of failing. I'll take that. And you will be a 88% chance of success. That's a 1 in 10 chance of failing, roughly speaking. Right, yeah, let's try to get control of Scandinavia as well. If I could get all 3 points in France right now, that would be amazing. Like, it would be just such a game changer. It would make my life so easy. I think statistically I'm likely to fail at least one of these missions, which I'm okay with. 1 point in Norway is ideal. 1 point in France, so we're up to 2 control points in France. We're up to 3 control points in France. 4 right. We fully control France. France is ours. Now that we fully control France, in particular the executive branch in France, we have control of the French army. This army right here. This will allow us to at least defend our allies and our assets, but more importantly, it might allow us to engage in some hostile diplomacy. Now, we're already at 100 points. And we've only controlled 2 countries, really. So I'm going to have to start maybe abandoning some of my holdings or trying to get the ability to hold more holdings. I think once I get access to We Are Not Alone, I'll have access to clandestine cells. This will be finished at the 22nd of November, so that should be relatively soon when we finish this. Let's go ahead and modify France's priorities so that we're investing a little bit into spoils. I think it's always worth it to have a little bit of spoils going so that you make a little bit of cash, but I'm not going to put too much of France's economy in there. Mostly I want it to be invested into economy. Mostly I want it to be invested into boost. I want 32% of France's money going into boost because I want lots and lots of boost income. Lots and lots of boost income. And I want people to want to stay in the European Union to get access to that boost. I want other factions to be invested in this, in keeping Europe together, because they can try to break Europe up, which is not ideal for me. Right, so that is boost on the way. Now we need to start thinking about what our next step is. I think I will continue to try to just take some very basic control of the Scandinavia. But next up is Germany. Now, what's my standard chance in Germany? 25% base chance. We're at a 13.5 against 16. I will start rolling on that with Bao Mila because she can't do public opinion missions. But then I'm going to start doing public campaigns with my other 2 agents to try and bring my public opinion in Germany up to a more reasonable level. So if we can get France, Benelux and Germany, we're in really good shape. If we can get France, Benelux, Germany and the UK, we're in incredible shape. It might be tough to hold all that land, but we're going to give it a real go. My technology per month is up. I'm making 2.9 tech per year now, which is pretty respectable considering how early it is into the game. We increased public support by 8% in Germany. That's perfect. Another 6% in Germany. We have discovered a new alien vessel in orbit of Earth. This is Victor 1. This looks like it is if I zoom in here, we can actually take a nice look at this. This is Victor 1, also known as the Whispering Veil. It looks like it is a transport. Looks like it might be transporting some aliens to the planet. You can see it has a variety of stats. You see all these stats? These are going to matter later. Just be glad I'm not talking about them now, okay? Just be glad I'm not talking about them now. Oh, God. But this is a 50-meter long ship, and it is kind of interesting looking. Really, really cool. So more than likely, it's going to crash on Earth, which is what a lot of the alien ships do in the early game before they start coming to blow up all your assets and maybe causing a little bit of a ruckus. We do have a control point for the Academy in Sweden. That's perfect. We got a control point in Germany. That's huge. Now we can select our advisory team. We can focus on economic development, which gives us economic priority. We can focus on spaceflight and boosts. We can focus on military and armies, or we can focus on welfare and knowledge. I'm a big fan of focusing on spaceflight and boost. It's how we kickstart our space economy. It's going to be part of my plans. We Are Not Alone will be researched on the 17th of November. As I continue to increase my technology level by controlling more countries, we will get access to more technology and therefore be able to research text faster. We are bumping up against our limit in control points, so I'm going to go ahead and start abandoning countries that I don't particularly care about, like, unfortunately, like Ireland, like Norway. Well, Norway I want to keep because I want to get them inside the European Union. These countries have cool things like resource regions. Now, Norway, I don't think I want a spaceflight program with you. I don't particularly care about funding. I think I would like you to just have a really high GDP and a highly educated population. Just going to set my default policy as liberal. Well, maybe not liberal. Yeah, I'm going to set it as a green policy. This will help me lower social inequality in these countries, which will hopefully make them better while still investing in the economy. These minor countries I'm not too worried about. Now, Germany, on the other hand, their job is to make as much tech as possible. So we'll be taking a peaceful approach with them, but we will be putting the knowledge priority relatively high and then the spoils priority fairly low. But yeah, we want Germany to be a technological power base for us. All right, let's continue to try to get control of Germany. I'm willing to spend up to 8 influence per mission. I think 8's a reasonable amount. Because if you try to spend the full amount, right, like for +1 point, I pay 10. For +2 points, I pay 20 money. For +3 points, I pay 40. For +4, I pay 80, and then it's 160 for 5. So the more you invest, the more difficult, the more expensive it is. So I tend to find smaller investments just to boost your chance of success slightly. We are up to a 60% baseline control chance here. Let me see if I can maybe swing that. Let me see, 37%. 76% chance. These are all really good hits. Let's go for a full hit on Germany. I'll have all 4 of my guys kind of control it. We are going to have to modify our standings if we do get control, but we'll leave it at there. We have met the resistance. Now, this is the less extreme version of the people who want to fight the aliens. They want to fight the aliens at any cost, but they don't. They are a little bit more ethical. They're a little bit less extreme. They don't see the aliens as something to be eradicated. They're more in favor of protecting humanity, which I think is a bit more of a reasonable way to go about things. And they are actually the main faction you'll be playing. They're the most developed and most standard faction that the developers expect you to play. People asked me to play the Academy, so I said I would. So we have 2 control points in Germany, we have 3 control points in Germany, and we have 4 control points in Germany. And so we failed one of those things. Now we are running into our control point cap. We are at 180 out of 148 control points, which means we need to start abandoning countries because while we're above this cap, we're losing 2.8 influence per day. Going to start hurting our economy. Now, one thing we can do is to come in here and see if we can buy, for example, the Oliver project here has +3 administration on it, which will actually give us a little bit more control. If I go, for example, to my scientist, Seamus here, I think you might be able to rename people, I don't remember. But if I buy this Oliver project, this will give him 30 science per month, +2 engineering project income, +1 investigation, +3 administration, and +1 science. So you'll see over here, his science income should come up. Well, it'll happen at the end of this turn. You don't get mid-turn upgrade. I should have explained that before. Yeah, the USA has some really good stuff. We need quite a bit of cash to buy this, but I really want Tucana Capital. In fact, I want Tucana Capital so badly that I am willing to put points into spoils. In countries I would not normally do so. Because if I can get Tucana spoils, that would give, or Tucana engineering, or whatever it's called, that would be really nice in the early game. So let us abandon a few countries to bring our control points down to a more reasonable level. Yeah, controlling 3 of the biggest and most powerful countries in the world, it is quite difficult. And we're going to try it for the UK as well, so... Wish me luck, baby. So that turn is over. Now if I go check out Seamus Lenigan, you can see here the Oliver project is active, giving me an extra 3 control points, and his science per month now is massive. He also has 2 engineering projects. That will allow me to actually get a 5% boost to my engineering, and it also allows me to research 2 different engineering projects at the same time, which is quite nice. My main goal is... there it is. My main goal is to save up the cash for Tucana Global. The Draco Fund isn't terrible. It's only 4% extra knowledge. It is only a 1-star organization for influence. I'm going to go ahead and grab that. But as it currently stands, we are in control of arguably 3 of the most powerful countries in the world. Or in Europe, sorry, not the world, in Europe. Which puts us into a fantastic position to now begin controlling the UK. And we want to bring the UK back in to the European Union, and we want to unify all 4 of these countries, because the second these 4 countries unify, they become one of the most powerful countries in the world. I think they'll have a combined population of like 70 million plus 70 million plus 80 million is 220 million plus an extra 30 million. So it's like 250 million population and a gross GDP of like half the USA, something like that. So this is basically making a super state if we can combine all these countries together, which we can do because they are friends in the European Union. So we already have a really good chance to control the UK. It's kind of scary. I'll kind of prospectively start looking at controlling. Well, do you know what else I should do actually? There is another mission I can do that's important. I'm going to start defending my interests. And what this does is there are missions you can take against individual control points in a country. If you defend your interests, it makes it harder for other people to attack you. Seamus Lenigan. Do I want to advise Germany? Let's see. He has a science of 9, so he'd give them 9% extra science. No, let's just try and control the UK. I'm genuinely going to be shocked if I manage to pull this off. The hard part is going to be managing the control point overflow. Okay, perfect. So we finished the first global research, which is the We Are Not Alone technology, which is basically like humanity coming to the realization that we are not alone in the galaxy, that we are not the only people out there. And this will unlock a variety of things. Most notably is clandestine cells, which will allow us to recruit another agent. There's also a rival domestic politics, a rival economics, a rival international relations, a rival sociology, terrestrial military science, the whole bunch of things that we care about. Now, the most important thing that we care about is industrializing space. So if I were to come down here, you could see space mining and refining. Now, in order to do space mining, we need advanced electromagnetism, we need outpost habs, we need space mining and mass drivers. Yes, those are the 4 things. So those are the ones that we want to focus on, ideally. Now, another really cool area that we can focus on is advanced chemical rocketry. This will allow us to produce more boost, which I think is going to be an early game priority for us. So I'm going to get to researching on advanced chemical rocketry. This will unlock a whole bunch of rocketry-based technology, which will allow me to start getting things into orbit really, really quickly. Perfect. So we just unlocked clandestine cells. We want to unlock that ASAP. I'm going to pull my research off of advanced chemical rocketry and put everything into clandestine cells so I can get it done as soon as possible. 1st of January is about the earliest I can get it done, which should be fine. We are in November of 2022, of course. So fortunately, I'm going to have to pay a little bit of influence here to lose some public opinion, but that's fine. We are improving our opinion inside the United Kingdom, and a good way to get your influence up is actually to improve global public opinion over your faction. And it looks like Project Exodus has started to make themselves known. They've taken control of the control point that we had in Denmark. By abandoning countries, we make it so that other countries can very easily capture our control points there. But we don't pay upkeep for those countries anymore, so that's kind of handy. Yeah, see, people are starting to move in Europe now that they're starting to see Europe as a place where, oh, look, cool things are happening in Europe. We want a piece of that. We have a UFO crashed in France. That is interesting. So I think first things first, let's take Seamus here. We will do a surveil location, and then I will take Bao Mi La to investigate that alien activity. What's your control chance? Pretty high in the UK. Let's try and get that up to a more reasonable level. 90% is about as good as I'm willing to push beyond. Yeah, 4 points for 95% success. We should totally get control of the United Kingdom now. We're not really ready for that, but I will do it anyway. I have to. So, Skywatch has been researched. This will allow them to now to research orbital shipbuilding. Skywatch is basically, we are now tracking alien vessels, tracking alien structures that are inside the orbit of Saturn. It immediately reveals all alien vessels and habitats within our detection range. And then there is a deeper version of that we can get. And now we're researching orbital shipbuilding, which will lead to a whole bunch of new technologies. Industrialization of space warfare, ad astra. Kind of makes sense that Humanity First, the warlike faction, decided to go for orbital shipbuilding. I think we also finished whatever tech was over there, but I might have clicked through it. So let's go out into the galaxy now, and we can kind of see, this is inside the orbit of Saturn, and we can see Victor 2 on their way. We can also see that there's a whole gamut of planetoids and bodies and stuff like that. I haven't even really talked about my own hab that I have around Earth. We have the International Space Station is under our control, and they're doing space science here. I may do some work on that later, but for now, I'm happy to just pay for it. It is costing me 5 boosts per year, roughly speaking, but my annual income is about 10 boosts per year, so I'm willing to take that slight hit. Now, the UK, like I said, is my military, so we're going to be changing our investment here, mostly into military, but still a decent amount into economy and welfare, and then a little bit into spoils. Now, the UK also has quite good places for boost stuff, so I might invest into boost as well with the UK, because boost is one of the most important early to mid game resources. It's what lets you kickstart your space economy. It's so valuable. We investigated the UFO, which will give us a boost to our xenology research as time goes on. We took another control point from the UK, and now we're in negative influence because we're over our control point. I'm kind of hoping that I fail to control this final point. Yeah, okay. So now we're super negative on the influence, which is not good. My hope is that when I finish clandestine cells in the near future, I will be able to make up for this influence deficit. And also by leveling up my counselors in the near future, I'll be able to make up for that influence deficit. But for now, we're going to be suffering a deficit. And most of my actions are going to be trying to find like really big populated countries with a lot of people in them that I can improve my opinion in, which should give me a little bit of passive stuff. I really want to get Tucana Global, and I would like Seamus Lenigan to be in control of them. The reason for that is quite simple. The administration skill is used to advise countries. And so if I'm going to be using Seamus to advise countries, I want him to have a high administration skill and a high science skill so he can boost their investment and scientific capabilities. This will actually curb my influence drought too, because the Tucana Global will give me a little bit of admin. Admin is one of the most powerful stats. These are organizations. You can attach them to people and they will give them new abilities and also new stats. I don't know if I really talked about these, but some organizations can only be obtained if you have a specific control point in a specific country. So for example, Sandia National Laboratories requires me to be I have to have a control point in the USA, and this would give me minus 100 cash per month, plus 35 science, and plus 1 project. So there's a variety of, depth to all of the mechanics. It looks like the aliens are starting to get control of Russia. That might trigger me into action to try to do something about that. So let me explain why I've done what I've done here, why I've taken control of these 4 countries. So because these 3 countries right here are in the European Union, that means when enough time has passed, I will be able to unify them into a single country. Now, there's a few things that we need to have in place before we can do that. If I go here, you can see the next time that France and Germany can conduct a diplomacy is on the 25th of September, and it's the same for the Benelux. So on the 25th of September, December, of 2023, I will be able to unify these guys into a single country. That's because the requirements to unify countries together is for them to be in the same federation, and for their diplomacy to be off cooldown, and for you to have been in control of the country's executive point for 180 days. So this should be very, very doable. For the UK, on the other hand, my goal is to get them back into the European Union, and I can take that action on the 29th of December 2022. It might take me a little bit longer to get that done though. But yeah, let's start improving public opinion with my faction around the world, focusing on Europe ideally. I do have enough influence to defend my interests, and I will defend my interests in Germany, but I am going to be negative influence for a long time now, until we get that next councillor. Ooh, I will have no influence to recruit a councillor. That's going to make my life quite difficult, unless I find a source of influence. We'll deal with that when the time comes. Let's go ahead and let time pass. I think I have a plan. Yeah, I'm gonna maximally boost my popularity inside the UK, and then I'm going to abandon the UK, and then anytime anyone tries to take it away from me, I'm going to fight back on that. So I think that's my play. I'm also going to start investigating other factions to see if I can trade with them to get more good stuff. We have found the servants, which is not good. I don't like the servants. But yeah, we'll talk more about this game in the next episode. I hope you guys enjoyed this introductory episode. I love you all very much, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.